Hey everyone, Leo with the Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Maisy card from our Fashionable Ladies bundle. I've got all of my pieces cut out, as should you, and this one's pretty straightforward, as are all of the cards in this bundle. I have the majority of Maisy kind of layered, just not glued down, so you can see what it's going to kind of look like once we get it all put together. But here is our card base. And as you can see, we have, well, there's a solid scoreline version, of course. And this is the main panel that's going to go on the front. And with this piece, this is going to kind of set the tone for everything. So we just need to make sure we get that glued down. We're going to try to maintain an even border on all four sides of this once we get it in place. There's a thin little area here and here. So get a little bit of glue on there. And then there are some of these little spokes here from the little design. Just make sure you get a little bit of glue on there. Don't overdo it because it will probably leak out, and possibly if you're using cardstock like I am, it may blemish this, so be very careful. And again, do your best to get that as centered as possible so you have an even border on all four sides. I think I did a pretty good job there. There we go. And press that into place, and as you can see, I did have some of that glue kind of squirt out, so doing my best to rub that off before it really blemishes the piece. Now, fortunately for me, it all happened right in this area, and Maisy is actually going to be covering that up. So I kind of lucked out there, so just be careful. Okay, so there's the main part of the front of the card. And we've got this beautiful little box that she's going to be sitting on. And we can begin by gluing the bottom of it to the bottom of the main structure here. Okay, go easy on the glue on this as well. No need to overdo it. It's going to go right there, nice and flush with the very base. Okay. And next, to give this a little bit of dimension, we've got this little layer here. It's going to go on top. This is basically the little lid for the box. And make sure you get a little bit of glue on the little handle. Okay. And we're going to use the existing little handle part, or the string part, as our guide for placement. So just make sure you get that lined up as accurately as you can, just like that. Okay, we have this oval. It's going to go right here to basically create the lid, or the top of the lid, I should say. We'll throw that in place. Should fit just like a little puzzle piece. So just make sure you push that down so that it's flush with this piece here. And again, if you are using a foil-like paper, make sure you keep the glue off your fingers. Okay, also have the main part of the handle here, which is in a purple. I did hit this with a little bit of a darker purple. It's a very thin little piece, so I actually used some tweezers to hold it while I applied the, what's it called, the ink. Okay, so this is kind of a delicate little piece. I would focus on trying to make sure that the bottom is lined up first, and then just kind of work your way out to the perimeter on both sides. If you need to kind of move and nudge things a little bit, that's totally fine. Okay, and then we do have a series of little markers on this piece, and that's to help us with the positioning of Maisy when she's all said and done. But that's essentially what the box should look like. We're going to flip this over. We do have two guides here at the bottom, towards the bottom I should say, to help us with the positioning of the actual box. So let's get that in place. Okay. And again, just using the little guides there at the bottom just to make sure that it's nice and centered. And the rest of this, the rest of Maisy is actually going to be, we're going to use some foam dots, or pop dots, foam squares, whatever you want to call them, to add some dimension to this. Now, if we open this up, we do have this little piece where you can write your little message, Or again, for those of you that still use stamps, you can use stamps. You can do a print to cut. You can have your machine write the message using like a single line font, whatever it is. I personally prefer print to cut or the use of those single line fonts. That's always nice. So get that nice and centered inside. Should have a even border going all the way around. Press that down into place. And that's pretty much it for the card base. And now it's time to put Maisy together. And as I mentioned here, I have everything pretty much laid out for myself. We're going to start with the black layer is going to be the first layer. And I'll move everything else over so I can keep it kind of together. This is going to be the next layer here. Okay, so we're going to take this, apply glue to the entire back of it, and position it into place onto the black layer. We'll see a few of the black elements on that piece popping through in various spots, and this will also help make the structure a little thicker so it's not so wobbly. It'll be nice and stiff for us. Nice and sturdy, I should say. Okay, so we'll take this. I like to hold it in my hand and just line it up. I'm looking in the top left there where the little feather in her cap will ultimately be, this little guy here. I'm using that as my initial guide for placement, and then just making sure that everything else remains good and flush. There we go. Now we can actually take and I can assemble the little handbag, which is made up of, in my case, a lavender piece and the silver foil. It's almost, actually, it's more like a pearlescent, I guess, than it is a foil, but either way. Okay, just go easy on the glue with this. It's a pretty delicate little piece, so we don't need to go overboard on it, and just match it up. This goes right on top. Make sure the handles are nice and matched up as well. Press that down into place. Okay, and you can see where this is going to go, just like that, and it should be flush with the side of her leg here. Okay, and it's going to match up with these two little handles. So let's get that put in place. Again, easy on the glue, a little bit on the handles, all the way up to the very edge. If you got too much on there, just kind of dab it with your finger a little bit. And line that up as accurately as you can. Again, it should be nice and flush with her leg here, like a little puzzle. There we go. Just like that. Wonderful. Okay, so next we can put her legs in place. We're going to start with this piece that has two legs, and you'll notice that I only inked this leg because we have another one that goes on top here. So no need to ink the legs twice, or at least that one leg, unless of course you want to get a little practice. Okay, and I'm using one of the feet here as my initial guide for placement, and then taking a look at the other one. Again, this should be nice and flush against the handbag, and we'll pop that right into place. Try to get that on there as accurately as you can. Next, we'll grab the other leg and pop that right on top of the previous one, just like that. And let's get her heels in place. For this, I'm just going to do a series of little dots. Don't need a lot of glue on that. And before you put it on, just make sure that you have the right one. They'll only fit in one spot. This one won't work here and vice versa. Okay, so we got that. Let's grab the next one. Pop that in place. And I just know that you guys are going to have a lot of fun, a ton of fun, dressing them up in various outfits, aka various designer pattern papers. I've got a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of these. Okay, all right, so that's that, and I'm going to move this off a little bit, and move that out of the way. Next is this piece here. That's going to go just like this. Okay. Let's get that in place. And you'll notice on this, I inked from here to here and just this little corner here, just to give it a little bit of separation. Obviously you can omit the inking, but I do think that if you spend a little time with the ink, it will make this so much cooler looking, adding a lot of dimension to it too. Okay, so get that lined up as accurately as you can. Should be flush all the way around here, and it should fit right over the existing little hand. This little guy here should go right on her knee. Perfect. Okay, so with this we can actually take this piece here, little hand, with her little this little decorative piece on her, looks like an overcoat of some sort. I'm not the best with women's fashion, so pardon me for not knowing the correct terminology. Okay, so that's going to go on like that, and then it's going to go right there, just above the bag. Okay, so let's get that glued down. Throw a little bit of glue on those fingers, and just line that up as accurately as you can. Just like that. It might help to kind of pick it up and look at it from various angles just to make sure you've got everything properly situated. That looks great. And there's a little spot there for a little rhinestone. She's got a nice little ring on. Okay, so next, we'll move this out of the way. We have this piece. So we can actually take and just glue this down, and you'll see that I inked from here to about here. Because once we get all these pieces in place, those are the only sections that are going to be visible. Okay, so let's get our glue on this section here. I bet you guys could probably figure this out without the video, but of course we would never omit the videos. You guys love the instructions, so we'll make sure that we keep doing it. There we go. Pop that right in place. Should be nice and flush with the previous layer. Next we'll grab this layer, this decorative layer, and throw a little bit of glue on that. There we go. And again, you've got this little area up here. It's kind of spiky. Just use that as your primary focal point, and then work your way around, making sure everything else is lining up nicely. There we go. Okay, next, we're going to take these two pieces here, and we're going to glue the black layer on top of, that's AC Salmon, I believe. Let's see. AC Blush, sorry, my apologies. Okay, just throw a little bit of glue on this piece. Pretty delicate little piece, so go easy on the glue. If you happen to squirt out more than you need, just rub it off with your finger, clean off your finger, and just keep on cruising here. Okay, so that's going to go right on top, like so. Try to match it up as accurately as you can. Here we go. Perfect. And then we also have a very small set of lips, which we do need to put in place. And one of my favorite tools for something tiny like this is my pick-me-up tool, which unfortunately isn't being made anymore. But you can actually pick it up. It's got a little tacky surface. Just throw a tiny little bit of glue on there, dab that, thin it out. Okay, and you'll notice on this spot here that there's a set of markers to help you with the centering of this. Just make sure you pop that right into place with the little valley on top. Okay, so you can see how that looks, hopefully. Okay, all right, so we've got that in place. So what we're going to do next is this is actually going to go right here, like so. You want to match that up as accurately as you can. And of course, we also have this little spiky area where that little feather is going to go. So just make sure to line that up as well. You've got two focal points to help you with the alignment on this. The first section is where the hand will be. So get that lined up and then make sure that it matches up with this little spiky section as well. That looks great. Okay, and then we've got the hand, the other hand, and our little polka dot pattern. Pop that right on top of this section, like so. Press that down. We can flip this over, apply glue on this entire surface, back of it, I should say. Get too much, just dab it off with your finger. And this is going to go right here, like so. Make sure you match that up with the existing black portion just below her lips, like that. There we go. And finally, we have the little feather elements. I'm going to just do the red piece first and then put the purple piece on top. With this, I'm just going to use a series of little dots. Very small, delicate piece. Don't need a ton of glue. Okay, and that's going to go right there. Just make sure you use those little points as your guide, and it'll sit on the hat exactly where it needs to. Got a little bit of glue that shot out there. Just kind of rubbing it off. There we go. And finally, our little feather. Just a few little drops of glue should do. Perfect. So you can see the assembly on this is very quick, really fun too. There we go, perfect. And that's on there wonderfully. Okay, so she's done. And we can flip her over and grab our foam squares. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, we've got a series of little markers on the box to help you with the positioning. And I'm just going to scatter these throughout just to make sure that once I get her on there, I want to give it a little push test and see if it's bending in anywhere where I push, and it's really not. So that's plenty. I don't think you need to do more than that. You can absolutely add a few more for good measure, but I think that's gonna be enough for me here. Okay, so let's get rid of that one there and that one there, and I'll show you here the little markers on the front. What we're going to do, this foot here is just going to be barely going down below the box. These markers here, this one right here actually will fit right into the corner of the bag. That one there will go into the corner of the next bag. And then there's also a little upside down V, and that's going to go right in between where the bag and the leg meet. Okay, so that's your first set of markers. You can use that as an initial guide. And then the one right here, there's a marker here. It's going to go right here where the leg meets the bottom part of the dress or the overcoat. Okay, so that should be enough points. And there we go. Now she's nice and centered. Okay, so we have a few little areas where we can add some rhinestones. And I'll just show you here. Obviously there's a perfect little circle there at the base of the feather. So I'm going to find a little rhinestone that would fit perfectly there. And I'm just going to actually drop a little bit of glue right onto that spot. You don't need a lot. I've got my handy pick-me-up tool. Pop it right into place. I've got some tweezers that I'm using to press it down. There we go, just like that. A little bit of glue squirted out around it, but it will dry clear. So I'm not too worried about it. I've had that happen a million times, and that's okay. Also, this little spot here is essentially for a button, and it's perfect size for a little rhinestone, so we'll add one there as well. Just pop a little bit of glue in there. I'll take this guy with my tweezers and just drop him right in there. There we go. Perfect. And finally, I've got a super tiny little turquoise rhinestone that I'm going to use to give the illusion that she has a ring on there. So you definitely want to do that. You can definitely coordinate that with the outfit, or in this case, kind of bringing out the turquoise color that we have there. Now with this, what I'm actually going to do is, well, this is a prototype. I'm just going to throw a little bit of glue right on this prototype envelope. I'll take my pick-me-up tool and just kind of dip it right in there, and then just rub off the excess glue. Just got a tiny bit of glue on there, that's all you need, and then pop that right on her finger like that. There we go. And that is a big old gem. Now that I'm looking at it, you can kind of see it there blinging in the light, just barely right there. So that is Maisy, and of course, it wouldn't be complete without a coordinating envelope. So let's take Maisy, move her out of the way temporarily, and let's grab the two components of the envelope. I've already pre-folded everything. This is a solid scoreline version, and this is the little insert that's going to go right in here, and you can see that a little bit of it is actually going to be coming out beyond the white area, which is what we want. And we're going to apply glue to this entire flap here. Okay, so go ahead and start working that glue on there. Going to work somewhat efficiently here, because we do have these little areas where we need to add a little bit of glue in here. Just a tiny bit, you don't need a lot. And if it squeezes out too much, just dab it with your finger, thin it out, that's fine. And we'll take this piece now. It's helpful if you bring this up, take this piece and push it up against the fold, make sure it's centered, and then bring this down. And that is spot on. Sometimes I'm amazed that that works as frequently as it does. Okay, so there's that. That's a very nice little touch to an envelope, to always have a little coordinating design to go along with the rest of the card. Okay, so we have that. That looks beautiful. And we'll take these two flaps and bring them in. Take and apply a little bit of glue just along the inside here on both of these little flaps. And then take the bottom, fold it over on top of the two side flaps, and press down. And there is your beautiful coordinating envelope to go along with Maisy. How about that? That is classy. So usually give that a few moments to set, but as always, I want to show you that it fits in there nicely. We got plenty of extra room. And that's going to do it for Maisy. We went over pretty much everything, including the placement of the rhinestones, because, hey, why not? For a card like this, it's definitely appropriate, and I think you'd kind of be, well, you wouldn't be doing her a favor by not putting it on there. So anyway, that's it. So that's it for Maisy. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a moment and visit us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our Fashionable Ladies bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can type in this little URL that you see here at the bottom of your screen. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying making these Fashionable Ladies, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.